Hello, everybody. This is Ali Tarnishi, the host of Connect with Ali show. And today I have my friend Anoush Khaze in this series, One Let's Connect One World, One People. And today we are talking about this amazing chapter that he wrote, Disconnected, Connected, Disconnected World, Disconnect, Reconnect. Anoush Khaze, all the way from USA. Welcome, my friend, and thank you for accepting the invitation, Anoush.
Thank you, Ali. I appreciate it. I am honored to be on your show and to talk about our the book, our mutual uh, effort and labor of love that us and everybody else that was involved in the production of this book. I think it's very important. It was an amazing project undertaking that you took on and put it together, and me and everybody else appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Anos, and you were a big part of this book too, like with all your knowledge, wisdom, and your insight for helping to put this book together. And my friend Anush, I'm going to ask you about this amazing chapter, connected, disconnected world, disconnect to reconnect. Can you tell us a little bit about this connection that we are having, even we have all the connection in the world, but we are still disconnected?
Yeah, as I mentioned in the chapter, we are today connected in more ways with each other than we have ever been in the history of mankind. When you think about it, going back, I'm not even going to go back a couple, 1,000 years ago. I'm going back only a few hundred years ago.
Hmm.
Before the advent of technology, of radio, television, telephone, telegraph, all of those things, the only way people could reach each other was by writing a letter. And sometimes these letters would take days, weeks to get there, depending on where you were sending it. I mean, if you lived in Europe and you wanted to send a letter to, I don't know, Hong Kong or to China or anywhere else, it would take literally weeks, months to get there. And
Hmm.
today, we pick up this marvel of technology right here, and with a few clicks, we can reach somebody across the world. I mean, look at you and I today,
Exactly.
hours in our time difference, thousands of miles, and we are here talking face to face.
Definitely.
Amazing. It's wonderful in many ways.
Hmm.
However, the more connected we have, more different ways we have become connected, whether it's by telephone, by, from when the phone, the telegraph started, then became the phone, and then became, they developed fax machines and developed, slowly moved on to where we are today. We are connected in many ways, but we have lost that human touch. We have become disconnected as a people,
Hmm.
in a human race. We are depending. I see people talking on the phone all day long. They're walking around talking, and yet they are missing that human connection.
Hmm.
Somebody in the street is getting mugged. Instead of people running to help, they take out their phone and they video it. You know, I tell you, over the past few months has been very difficult for my family and I. We literally lost uh, six members and between our family and our friends,
Hmm.
all over the place. I had a cousin in Iran who I've been trying to reach for over 2 years. I haven't been able to. I wasn't able to find his phone number. Anybody I was asking, they didn't have it. They couldn't reach it. We in this world that we're all so connected, I could not get in touch with this man. That I had not been able to speak, and a lot of it, shame on me because I was to blame on that too. I neglected trying harder to get to reach him, and
Hmm.
finally, this past February, I heard he passed away.
Mm.
His
Sorry
cousin,
to hear that.
yeah. Following that, my uncle's wife, her sister passed away. A week later, she passed away. And these are people who I have been in touch, but not as much as I probably should have. I should have picked up the phone and called more often and
Hmm.
spoken to them more often. We have lost family in Boston the same way. I mean, it's just, and this happens. I look at this and I say, I am one person in 8 billion people on the face of this planet.
Hmm.
And there are many places in the world that there are a lot of other people just like me who have
Hmm.
lost a family member who they haven't talked to in a long time, and they say, "Oh my God, I should have called him. I should have said something. I should have, been in contact." We
Hmm.
have devices and we send texts, we send messages, we send emails. You know, but we're not really connecting with each other to really sit down and have a discourse, have a discussion. And if you have an argument today, if you have a disagreement with somebody on one of these social platforms, they just unfriend you. Click, you're gone. Bye bye.
Yeah.
Right? That connectivity is gone.
Mm-hmm.
People hide behind the technology, and instead of treating each other with kindness and gentleness and understanding,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to understand the viewpoint of the other person, they just they sometimes, that's why some people become so mean online. There's so much of the bullying online goes on with kids, because that connectivity is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Definitely.
there is not face to face. I mean, let's face it. I mean, you're on Facebook. You suddenly get a notification. This person wants to be your friend.
Definitely.
Can you imagine if you ever walked up to somebody's door and knocked on the door? Hey, let's be friends. It's like that would never happen. You would go through a set of introduction. Hey, my name is Anoush. Hi Ali. I'm Anoush. I'm where we do a little discussion and Discord.
Can you be my friend?
And you develop a nice foundation for that relationship, which can be built on for years to come, right?
Definitely.
And
Definitely.
that is not the case here. We are, in order, sometimes you have to, um, your computer, when sometimes has a problem, they say shut it down, start it back up,
Mm-hmm.
disconnect it, reconnect it, right, to the internet so that you can connect back up, right? Correct.
Definitely.
We are no different. Sometimes we have to disconnect from all this other distraction, all these other the computers, the phones, the tablets, and whatever you have, and try to reconnect with people, with each other, so that we can develop a foundation for communication.
Definitely. And
A lot of the problem we have in the world today is because people are not communicating. We're not talking. We're just, you know, listening to somebody else saying something, and we take that as being the truth. And sometimes it's not, because we
definitely.
don't bother to talk with each other.
And before Anosh, before the TV, before the phone, before all the tablet, before the computer, back then, the family used to have a sense of belonging, used to have a sense of togetherness. They used to have like a nice discussion. They have coaching, they have everything just on the dining table. And that was the best time ever, because that was the connection. That was like a heart to heart talk. Everybody know each other just by talking. They solve problem. But now with this technology, it bring everything closer to you, but it put people close to you, far away from you.
That's very true. And part of it is because, I mean, today, you I was just out this afternoon, stopped by the grocery store to pick something up, and it was happened to be the time that all the kids were out from high school. They
Hmm.
are all gone to this grocery store, and they're all walking next to each other, and their heads are in their phones. One of them almost ran into me, and he was coming directly to me, so I just stopped, waited to see if he's going to run into me or he's going to eventually see where he is, and he just looked up and, oh, I'm sorry, he went around me. And I'm looking at all the other kids that are around the same thing. I said, good grief, you guys have been in class all day. Now I'm thinking to myself, you're out with your friends, right? Your
Hmm.
friends. At the very least, you can talk with each other instead of having your heads into your phones and doing whatever it is you're doing.
Hmm.
I'm not saying there, you know what, I believe there's a time and a place for everything. I'm not saying that the technology is bad. It just, I think, is being badly used.
Definitely.
It is not being properly used. Everything has its use. I mean,
Hmm.
books, hey, great things, okay? Great things. But if you are going to ignore, if you're going to sit there and read a book, and when your kid comes home from school and you don't pay attention to your kid and your head is in the book, that's misusing the book.
Hmm. Definitely.
It's just like everything else. And with the technology that we have today, we have become disconnected as a people talking to each other. Everybody is busy recording themselves and taking pictures of their food and texting each other across the table, instead of sitting down and actually discussing something of mutual interest.
Definitely.
Discussing something that even if you disagree with each other on, it's okay to disagree on many things, as long as we disagree in a civilized manner with understanding that our viewpoint is not necessarily a right one. We may be
Definitely.
wrong. Admitting to say, hey, I may be wrong. I learned this from a friend of mine a long time ago. And she was talking to us, and she said, I may be wrong. And every time she's telling me something, she says, I may be wrong. That was acknowledging that she thought that she was right, but she was admitting that she may be wrong.
Hmm.
That was a great lesson for me. And if we can, once we start talking and communicating, we can learn a lot from each other
Definitely.
on
Definitely.
many levels. On
I
many
think
levels.
I think you mentioned, my friend Anush, in the book in page 24 about the technology, how the technology start controlling us instead of us controlling the technology. And that sometimes we care more about damaging our cell phone by dropping it than what we say to the human being on the other side of the call, and whether we just then damage them irreparably with our word. Let's admit it. How many times have you had your phone either ring, ping, or vibrate while you were eating dinner, or were you with friend and you stopped what you were doing to answer it or check your email? We are, most of us, guilty for that. We are on the table,
Oh,
the phone
absolutely.
ring. It's more important to answer it or to see what's the notification, and in that sense, we lead the technology controlling us instead of us controlling it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there was a time that, right now, one of the things that when I'm saying something, I try to kind of live about what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
If you called me, if you are not on my select group of people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Uh, People that need to, if they need to emergency reach me, my kids, right? My family.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who calls me after 10 o'clock at night until next tomorrow morning, 10 o'clock in the morning, you won't be able to reach me. My phone will go into voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
I had to put that limitation in there so that I will not take calls. I mean, I do have people that I contact with across the world, so they're in different time zones. I may get calls, but let's face it, none of those things are really urgent.
Mm-hmm.
I
Definitely.
mean, if somebody's called, if I have a friend in Australia, if he calls me, with an emergency, okay, it may be a business emergency, but there's really nothing I can do, or I'm not even willing to wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning to deal with it, right?
That's why
So
you have voicemail, so we can
in
get
our
back.
reality, it's really not an emergency. Now, if my daughter calls me because she got into a car accident, absolutely I'll get up and deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a matter of setting priorities and not letting things control us. Right now, there are people who every time the phone rings or chirps, they stop whatever they're doing to go and to see what it is. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I understand we all have important things in our lives, and if it's a matter of business during business hours, okay. But if you're sitting at a meeting with
Mm-hmm.
your prospective client or your coworker or whatever, and your phone starts ringing, you answer. Guess what? You're sending a wrong message.
Definitely.
You know,
Mm.
and I'm not here to talk about all the different, those other things, but just to be aware of the fact of how much of a control we have given away
Mm-hmm.
technology.
Definitely.
Oh, I see a little cat there. That's cool.
Oh yeah, he's
Yeah,
enjoying what you're saying. He just said we have to connect. We
yeah.
have to
Well, I
connect. He
tell
said
you,
he said connect with me, buddy. That's how I said.
yeah. It's
So it's
that's the
so
it,
I totally agree with you, my friend. And don't all of us realize that when COVID hit, it was like almost like a wake up call for everybody. It's just to see, hey, what you guys doing? You are disconnecting. You are, as you mentioned here in the chapter. I believe that COVID-19 was the universe way of giving us a warning and showing us just how far apart we have drifted as human beings. As a result of this pandemic, we got to stay home and spend time with our children and our family. The one who we hardly spent time with because we were so busy with work and running errands, etc. And a lot of people, because of the COVID, they realize their priority change because they realize how happy they become when they are staying home with their family, they spending time with their family, and they said, "Oh my God, what I was missing, busy running after everything," and they realize that, okay, I think this is who I am. I need to be happy. I need to spend more time with my family. I need to connect with myself. I need to connect with who I am and connect with myself. Can you elaborate a little bit, my friend, on
Well, that also unfortunately worked in opposite as well.
mhm,
There were people who had there were a lot of divorces that happened because of this COVID, and
mhm,
it wasn't because of COVID itself, but because a lot of people, they had gotten used to the life they had. They would get up in the morning, go to work, come home 8, 9, 10 hours later. They would sit down, have dinner, or be busy with a couple of other things. They had connection, minimal connection. So
mhm.
as a result, suddenly now they were forced to stay indoors with each other for 24 hours, hours a day, for days on end, going on week after week, month after month. They started getting on each other's nerves because they had not learned to communicate in the first place. Okay, so that
Def-
happened. Then you had the kids that the young kids were in school, and they had got into that routine, and suddenly this change was brought about. Now parents who basically never really spent a lot of time with their kids, teaching them, working on homework, whatever may be the case, education, now they were stuck in the house.
mhm,
For the first time, they were probably spending 8, 9, ever since the kid was maybe a toddler, or 4 or 5 years old. They stopped spending so much time. Maybe even when they were toddlers, they had put them in daycare, whatever. Now suddenly they're spending 8, 9, 10 hours a day with the kids at home, and they are driving each other insane
mhm,
because they were not used to this connecting. They had no idea. And let's face it, in society, unless somebody that is really good at parenting, and maybe from the old school, if you want to call it that,
mhm,
teaches you about how to spend time with your kids, it's a difficult task. There is no owner's manual with the kids. It doesn't tell, there's nothing in there that says, hey, this is how you're supposed to spend time with your kids. And if you've been in the workforce, the father is working, which is what happens a lot in a Western civilization here. We're talking about Canada, United States. A lot of parents are working, mother is working, father is working, the kids are off to school. Now you put them all into a
take
house,
care.
and they
Mhm,
can't get out of it. They can't get out of the house. It's a very challenging thing trying to get them to work with each other, for them to learn to work with each other, because they really haven't. Most of the
mhm,
time, the kids would come home and they're sitting down and doing homework, right? So it a lot of those changes, it brought us a change, and that's what I was talking about, the wake up call.
mhm,
Suddenly found ourselves realizing, oh my God, I really can't go out there and talk to other people, but I'm stuck here with this limited group of people that I have to communicate with, which I haven't really done that over a long period of time.
definitely,
You know,
my friend. And you mentioned here too, brother, about connectivity with the family, connectivity with the relative. Once we have started connecting in our family and our neighborhood, we must work on expanding that circle outward to our global connection without any expectation or judgment. Perhaps a good place to start is just be of service to one another in any way we can without expectation or reciprocation. You see, by helping another, we help ourselves become a better person in the process. Like Reggie McNeil said, it best when he said, help somebody, help yourself. It's all start with connection.
yeah. I mean, look, I mean, look at this book, right?
Mm-hmm.
This one of the major reasons where I was talking about this is this. Look at the people who came around about to put this book together, right?
Mm-hmm.
From different corners of the world, different parts of the world, with different backgrounds, different religion, different beliefs, different
Mhm.
culture, different upbringing, different social
Different
uh,
color.
status, be it whatever it may be. I mean, I don't know what some of these people, what their social status, and this really doesn't matter. It
Hmm.
makes no difference.
Hmm.
You know, it is the reality is that we may be different in many different ways. Whether it's our beliefs, it's our faith, if it's our where we live, how we live, our cultural backgrounds. But the reality is, on the inside, we're all human beings. We're all human beings, and if we just come to acknowledge that and start reaching out and try to just help each other, be of service to each other, and you know what? Don't do it because you want something back.
Hmm.
Do it because you really want to help someone.
Definitely.
You know, and there's an old saying: "What goes around comes around." You know,
It's true.
you help somebody, and somewhere along the line, somebody's going to come and help you. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be what you expect, and sometimes if you are doing it with the expectation, that's not the right motive. That's not the right reason to go and help somebody because you want something back. That's you're being selfish.
Definitely. It's all about intention.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I wanted on page 31. I put a quote in here, and it says, "True peace and tranquility will only be realized when every soul will have become the well wisher of all mankind." Baha'u'llah.
Hmm. Love it. Love that.
Now, Baha'u'llah was the founder of the Baha'i faith. It's the youngest religion on the face of the planet. Well, I mean, there's some other ones that perhaps came along after that, but this is the global. This is what he's talking about, and I do what we're talking about right now in the world. The reason we have so much conflict and so many things are going on with Ukraine, with what's going on in the China Sea and all this stuff, is because we don't have proper communication,
Hmm.
and we are if we start going
Definitely.
into connecting with each other with the spirit of, look, I'm going to help this guy. It doesn't matter that he doesn't look like me. It doesn't matter that he doesn't have the same culture. It doesn't matter he doesn't believe in the same things I do. He's another human being, and if he needs help, I'm going to help him out. If I can, I'm going to help him out.
Hmm. And that's what.
With that spirit, I think is going to go a long way, and I think we're going to be able to build a better world. We're not leaving this planet as an inheritance to our kids. We're borrowed it from them, and we have to be good steward to give it back to them in good shape.
Definitely, my friend. And I think that's what we all connected, like 13 country, five continent, 17 author from all different part of the world, because one put us together. Religion that didn't matter, race didn't matter. All matter is what give us fulfillment, what give us that satisfaction, because we are connecting to make a difference. We are connecting for a mission to make a difference in children life. And this book, one Let's Connect, One World, One People, came for that purpose, to donate. And last year, my friend, we raised $1,000, and we supported three organizations that supported directly children, like Boys and Girls Club, a big organization here in Canada, and the money go directly to support children. And also YWCA, that's for pregnant women that have no places where they can
Mhm.
be, and they support them, so they will have those children, and those children will be the leader of the future, and also the Queen of Heart. So I think that's why everybody, when we ask them to be part of this summit of this book, what is holding us back from connecting as one world, was everybody said, yes, this is the conversation that matters. This is something that we need to talk about. And that's what the humanity all need. It's about connection and what is real in this world.
Yeah, I mean, when we look at the scope of this book, it is more than you look at. 17 people in comparison to 8 billion people is nothing.
Hmm.
You think about it, right? Um, but 17 if 17 people from different parts of the world with all the different backgrounds can come together and work on a project. And I'm not saying this is a huge project.
Mhm.
It was a challenging project nonetheless. But and we everybody that was working on this and did what we did was because we also had other things that was going on in our lives. It
Mhm.
wasn't the central focus of our work, of our lives. But can you imagine? Can you imagine if everybody around the world pitched in on one project, on one mission together,
Mhm.
okay? To The decision would maybe be something like, okay, we don't want to fight anymore.
Mhm.
Next time the leaders of some country decide that they want to fight a war, nobody shows up.
Exactly.
You want to fight a war, you go ahead. Go ahead, guys.
Yeah,
You're 75 years old.
you are
You're
the leaders.
75 years
Go.
old. You're 70 years old. You're 60 years. You want to fight, get in the ring and pass it out. We're just not going to show up. And if we call just that kind of communication opens up and we understand that we are all connected. Ali is in Canada. I know, Tariq is
Imarat, UAE.
Arab Emirates, and all the different and Sadiqa is in Lebanon. All these people are different places in the world. We are a part of the same community. We are
Mhm.
part of one race. Understanding this, that on this planet there is only one race, and
Mhm.
that's the human race.
Human race. I
You know,
agree.
if we stop looking at each other, if we really start looking at what we have in common versus how we are different, we're going to find out we have a lot more in common than we are different.
Agree. 100%.
And maybe we won't have so many problems.
Yeah, and that's the spirit, my friend. That's the way we want it. We want like to think about it as one human, a human race. It's not this is from Morocco, this is from Iran, this is from Afghanistan, this is from USA, this is from Canada. If we think about that that way, and they really love what you said about like if everybody take that mission to support or to help the world, if the leaders want to fight, they can go themselves. Take their children and go, but they never put their children to the war. You just said, well,
No,
just
no. I mean, the point is that the reason a lot of these, what I was trying to say by disconnect to reconnect, is
Mhm,
to disconnect from all this stuff that's causing all this distraction and
mhm,
coming between us as human beings.
mhm.
Okay, and actually do a face to face. There is a whole and be able to talk with each other, even on the phone. On the phone, if you smile when you're on the phone, the other
Mhm.
person can tell that you're smiling, that you're happy. It affects how you speak and how you talk. You
Definitely.
can do that. You cannot do that on one of these devices unless you're actually turning the screen on for yourself, and people can see you, which is okay. Which is
Mhm,
okay. I'm not saying take everything and toss them out and don't use it ever again. But take a break and let's
mhm.
start reconnecting with family members. I mean, that's
Definitely.
close enough, right? I mean, you have an uncle or aunt that you haven't spoken to in a long time. I bet they want to hear from you.
Mhm.
I bet they want to hear your voice,
Def def
even if it's on a birthday, or
oh,
a
yeah.
holiday,
Def
you know.
de Definitely. Because that's what the connectivity or connection is all about. It's connection. We call it connection. It's not like we just do it through the phone or text message. And I already send them a happy birthday on the phone as a message and stuff like that. But it has to be connection. It's more like you connected. You are there with truly like with your emotion, with physically being there and being there for people. So it's about compassion, about being there for them, being listening. And they think that's what the world need people that real, because you at the beginning we were talking about Facebook, and somebody just sent you a notification, said you want to be a friend of mine, and you could have like 2,000, 3,000 people as friend, but that's just like a virtual, that's just like a illusion, something not really real. 3,000, 4,000. But if you just like said, I am in trouble, I need your help with something, nobody will show up, nobody will say so. 3,000, that's like it's almost like a whole small town.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. It's the issue. The problem is that we look at people that are online in our social media and we think, oh, I know this is so many different people, but then we're so involved with all of that that you miss your neighbor, maybe that is having a rough time and they
Hmm.
can't make ends meet. Why? Because they're not in your social media. They're not on your Facebook. They're not on
Definitely.
your Twitter or whatever else you're using. That's it's important to be aware of each other as human beings and be able to connect in that way. And hopefully, I'm hoping that people who are watching this will um, get a copy of the book to get a more insight on the authors. They're amazing people here, amazing, amazing people. I mean,
Hmm.
I look at some of these people and just I'm at awe of how much they have contributed. You look at Michelle Borel, Fusoon, Ola Rashid, Darren Dugway, all of these guys. Zainab and Eric Collier, all of these guys. They're amazing, amazing people who have contributed to this book with their knowledge, who put their heart and soul into this.
Hmm.
I'm hoping that people that are watching this, they go in there and get a copy of the book. They can go. I mean, if they want, don't have to fish for it online. Don't have to go to look at Amazon. Go to if you're in the U.S. or Western Hemisphere, go to one.anoushkhaze.com. I created a simple way for people to get to the book so they can get it. And again, as you mentioned, emphasizing no one connected with this book it makes has anything to gain from it. It is all for a good cause, going to support charities that are supporting children and women and children who need the support truly. Um, let this, I'm hoping that they will be able to um, read this book and start connecting. I mean, there's many other. I mean, I'm just talking about what I put in here.
Hmm.
I can just talk about this, but everybody here was talking in some way, talking about connecting
Hmm.
in one shape, form, or another, and connect with each other and connect with your family. And if you're able to buy a book for somebody who maybe is needs to learn how to connect because they have forgotten. You know,
Definitely, definitely, my friend.
children,
And
as children, we all grow up connecting with our parents, but somewhere along the line, a lot of people have gone astray, and we've forgotten how to connect, and we just need to be reminded.
definitely, and as my friend Anush said, like you can find the book on Amazon. You can find it on oneanushkhaz.com, and here the link on this journey to be part of this amazing journey. And it's all about connectivity. It's all about a journey back to humanity. It's all about human. Let's go back to being human, and let's go back to be who we are, and support and be part of this journey. And I would like to take this opportunity and thank Anusha. Now time is chasing us big time, and it was really a pleasure, my friend Anush, to have you in this conversation,
Thank you.
that matter, and to shed the light about connection, about humanity, and about who truly we are as human, and we need to be that spark in somebody's life and be the change we want to see in the world. Last word, my friend Anush.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. I just want to mention that remember, if you're sometimes you're too busy doing things, remember, you're not human doing, you're human being. Let's connect.
Love that. Let's connect. Let's be one. Thank you very much, everybody. Until next episode, we're looking to see you. And thank you very much, Anush. Appreciate your time and all your contribution.
I appreciate